Hello and welcome to Rita's Paper Motif. I'm excited today to share with you a stamp set and it's called Simply Fabulous. So I'm going to share a card I made with you and we'll make a couple of cards together. Before we get started though, just quickly, just so I don't forget and take care of all the stuff up front, that is you can check out these cards plus other cards that I've made and their tutorials by going to ritaspapermotif.com. Just hit the blog for all the tutorials. But also when you're on the home page, you're invited to subscribe to the weekly newsletter as well as a YouTube channel. So in speaking of the YouTube, if you're watching this on the replay on my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so that you'll be notified of any upcoming videos that I do. So, and also if you're watching here on the live at Facebook, usually every Thursday, I do a live just to share with you cards that I've made, new product, and also online classes. So whether you're watching live or replay here on Facebook, please consider that like button, the heart button, and then it's always nice to know that who's watching and where you're watching from. It just is kind of like a little warm fuzzy, if you will. And if you're watching on the replay, go ahead and just say you're watching on the replay. All right, so having said all of that, let's get going. Now, I did want to share with you this stamp set. And I think I've said before, when I choose product, and I do this because I'll let you know that there have been times that I've chosen product and then it goes on the shelf and I kind of forget about it, and then when it retires then I have product maybe that I haven't used, and I generally will use product that is available to you because my whole goal is to share with you ideas on how you can use current product. And if you can't get the product, that defeats the purpose. But also, it seems sad to keep getting new product when you have great product on the shelf. So the other thing that I like to do when I'm deciding on a new product is I like to take good old sticky notes, and I'll think of or I'll write down 5 different ways that I could use or plan or see or brainstorm, however you want to relate to that, how I could use that product. And if it's a bundle, that means if it comes with the die set and or a punch and the stamp set, not only do I save the 10%, but I'm going to think of ways that I can use them together and then separately. So then I just go ahead and put my sticky note on the back or the front, whichever, when I get it. And that way, and I put it in my to-use basket on my table, on my creating table. And that way, when I'm ready to use it, I already have some ideas in mind. Now, I will be honest with you. Sometimes those ideas look nice on paper, but sometimes they don't turn out as great as I envisioned. But at least I have a starting point. Most of the time, because of the beauty of our product, I come up with way more than 5 ideas or even, cards. So it's not hard to do with our Stampin' Up! Product because it is so, it is wonderful. It's quality. And also our inks and paper and designer series paper, they all coordinate together. And so they work hand in hand. And, we all like something that works together, right? We like that wheel to turn with all the spokes, right? So So that's what I'm going to use today is this Simply Fabulous stamp set. I want you to know that it's available in my online store, and you can, if you have a catalog, you will find that stamp set right here on page 41. And this stamp set is going for $18. So it's a very good price point. It's a polymer stamp set, which means you can see through it. So you could conceivably get the stamp set and maybe some inks and maybe paper if you don't have it. And then the great thing about that is when you make your purchases for $50, then you get the added bonus of being able to pick out an item in our celebration catalog. So the celebration campaign is a campaign that offers you free product for every increment of $50 that you spend in my online store. So it's a good way to get some great designer series paper that also works with other stamp sets in our catalog and mostly in the mini catalog. And it's just great to get things for free, right? But you do want to enact on that soon because our celebration campaign ends at the end of February. Now, that stamp set that I'm going to share with you is till the end of April now in 2023. So just so you know. All right, so let's get started here. The very first card that I want to show you, we're not going to make it today, but I wanted to show you today. This is an A2 size card. All my cards are A2 size today that we're going to make. But this card is a top folding, and you know, it was 8.5, and then on the it started out 8.5 by 11. I cut it in the middle at 5.5, and then scored it at 4.25. And then I'm using this in a landscape style. So I did use the stamp, Just Saying Hello, right here. I did it in good old Memento, which is a tuxedo black. And then around it, I took this stamp right here, and I stamped it in Parakeet Party. Now, Parakeet Party is an in color, one of our 2021 to 2000, I'm so sorry, 2022 to 2024 in colors. So I used that, and I did some first generation and second generation stamping, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just went ahead and did a layer of those, kind of covering the bottom, and then I switched it up a little, and I used this stamp set to kind of fill in the green, so it gives the illusion that there are different styles of leaves, right, on this card. And I'm so sorry that it was out of focus, goodness sakes. Let's see if we can't get this a little better here. All right. So what I did was, here's where I did the Parakeet Party with the two different stamps. And then you'll see in this stamp set, it has these little stamps right here that kind of look like hearts, but it's a threesome. So I took that and I used my Sweet Sorbet ink. And then I just did go ahead and stamp that here so it looks like some flowers, right? And it was quite an easy card. I just layered that on some of the Sweet Sorbet designer series paper. And then I have some of the twine, and that is also the Sweet Sorbet twine. Now the twine comes in a package where you get all the in colors, and it's just great to have on hand. I did also do something that I just felt kind of like my card needed just a little something on it, but I didn't want to put like any sequins or any gemstones because it already has quite a bit of color, and I just didn't want it to become too busy. But I did feel like it needed something to give it a little bit of whimsy and to give it a little bit of character. So in doing that, after I added the twine, I realized that I could add these brush-backed butterflies. And I have used a ton of these. I just love them. It comes in 3 different sizes. And I used all 3 sizes and just kind of placed them here on the card. So, you know, it's something that's very subtle. It's not like in your face. But I think, or I feel, that it definitely gives this card some real pizzazz. So that's what I look for or look to do in my cards. I know that sometimes some cards are really flashy, and some of mine have been, but for the most part, I like something that's pretty and simple, and so I just kind of feel that this is. And then I didn't do anything with the inside. I will go ahead and decorate it, probably with some Parakeet Party leaves, and maybe just maybe 1 set of this kind of leaf and flower thing. And then I have quite a few sentiments to choose from. I could put something just like everything is beautiful, or you're simply fabulous. That might be a nice thing to send to a friend. And so you can see that I did already get 1 good use out of this stamp set. I will tell you also, though, that I have used these sentiments because it's got a lot of them. I've used them many, many times. So even before I sat down to create cards, which is what I originally intended to do with this set, I have already used a lot of the sentiments in other cards, mostly in the birthday cards. So it really lends itself to a lot of uses. And for $18, you know, I just want to say, how can you go wrong? So, great stamp set. Now let's go ahead and look at some other cards. Let me just kind of clean up my mess a little bit here. I wanted to show you this card that I made, and we're going to make it today as well. I want to make it with you. So let me just get all the parts out here so that we have them. And got a lot of little parts in it. So you can see that I made kind of a wreath, and it's got some ribbon. And so, you know, one of the things that I really like about our product line is the ribbon. It comes in all kinds of textures, different colors. Some is satiny. This is kind of like sheer, but there's all colors and all kinds of textures in our ribbon. And so I did just take this, and we're going to do it today. I just took some leaves and made a wreath, and then just I stamped the flowers and then cut them out, and then I put some of the, well, we'll just do it together. Let's do it. So, okay, so here is my sample. I'm going to move it to the side, and to do this card, I needed a piece of cardstock that would act as the card base. I chose to use fresh freesia. And so what I did is, this is the 8.5 side. This was the 11-inch side of the cardstock, because that's how our cardstock comes. And you can see it's great strength. And I just cut it at 5.5, which would have been half of the 11-inch. Then I scored it at 4 1/4, which gives me the card base that I need. And then I'm just going to fold it over in half. I take my bone folder, and these are invaluable. You can find them in my online store, of course. And I just secured that fold, and now I have a card base. And because we're going to be using this card base in a landscape orientation, I'm just going to move it to the side because we're done. Now, some of this I have already done ahead of time, because I have been having some kind of long videos lately, and so it's kind of nice to to keep them at a decent amount of time. So this is a 4x5 piece of basic white cardstock, and I did go ahead and already stamp the inside here, and I stamped it with You're Simply Fabulous, and I did use Highland Heather ink. So even though this is Fresh Freesia, the Fresh Freesia ink was a little bit too light for my tasting, so I did just go ahead and use the Highland Heather. Now let's go ahead and put this inside layer inside our card, because that's where it goes. And then we just get some of all these extra things kind of out of the way, and we're just going to go ahead and get this right in the middle here. Let's see. And then we're just going to go ahead and secure it. Now the inside of our card is already done, and I want to just do a few things to the outside of the card so that we can be done with it. And that is, I want to take this strip of designer series paper. This strip is from the Dandy Designs. It is also a free product from our celebration catalog. So if you spend $100, you can choose this fabulous offer of the designer series paper. You get 48 pages. And so as you know, our designer series paper is usually, I can't think of too many times when it's one-sided, but it's usually double-sided, which gives you the opportunity to use it in different ways. Now I am going to have to pull this just a little closer to me because I would like to get it as centered as possible. And so I would just center it in the middle. And so that just kind of breaks up the whole Fresh Freesia thing. And then I'm going to take this other strip that is out of Highland Heather, and I am going to adhere that right on that other strip. Now, the beauty of the Stampin' Up! Product, which I really like, is that the colors are always the same, meaning that if you're using Highland Heather, whether it's cardstock, ink, or in the designer series paper, it's always going to be the same. So you're not going to grab something that is going to be a shade lighter, or a shade darker, or even off, right? They're all going to coordinate together. All right, so we have just taken care of that. Now let's work on our middle part here. And this middle part is, excuse me, this middle part right here is, let's see, what is it? It is about a 4 by, that's about a 4 1/4 by a 4 1/2. And we're going to make a wreath out of that. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this stamp from our stamp set. Let's see, where is it? Right here. And I'm going to get our clear block, and I'm just going to place it on the clear block. Now, I will tell you this, that I did use the soft succulent, which I'm wanting to use today, and I'll tell you why I used the soft succulent. The reason I used the soft succulent is because I like this color, and the Parakeet Party is a little too bright for what I was looking for. So let's just go ahead and use, sorry, I had to put my glue away. Let's go ahead and use the soft succulent. All right, so we're going to make a wreath. Now, please don't feel intimidated when you're thinking about making a wreath, because you know what? It's not, this is a handmade card, and while we strive to be as close to I mean, we all strive to be somewhat perfect, right? You know, just give yourself some grace. So we're going to go ahead and ink up this stamp. And then what I'm going to do is and I have to bring this closer to me, but I'm going to stamp in the middle of each side. So here we go. So here's one. We'll turn it or rotate it. We'll stamp again in the middle. I'm trying to get as close to the middle as I can. And again. Turn it, and we'll do the same thing over here. Okay, now you kind of see that we have like kind of a square. We want to kind of round that off, right? So I'm just going to take that same stamp and we're going to do in the corners here. So I'm going to stamp it here. I'm going to stamp here. I'm going to stamp, and you'll see that this is rounding off those corners. I'm going to stamp here, and I'm going to stamp here. And so that gives us a little more of a rounded center. Now you can stamp some more if you want. You could also do some second generation stamping if you wanted to. You could definitely do that. I'm not going to, but you definitely could. Now let's just go ahead and clean off our stamp because we're going to be using it again. Excuse me. The other thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to have a little strip here. And I wanted it to say thank you. So I wanted to make this a thank you card. And so I did just grab a scrap piece of paper of the white. And I'm going to raise my camera just a little bit because I think we're too close here. So give us a little more room. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp that thank you sentiment. And let's see here. I'm going to use this little block right here. And I need to kind of get it a little straighter. All right, and we're going to use, again, we're going to use the Highland Heather because we do want that to kind of match, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and ink up our stamp. And then we're just going to, I have to get this one closer, and I am sorry. But we're going to go ahead and stamp thank you on it. And then we're just going to cut it. Now for this, I just use my scissors. I try to eyeball that it's where it should be. So it's not like, it's actually something that I think that you can do. So, whoa, excuse me. So let's go ahead and trim that. And as I am going to try and trim it as straight as I can. And I see that my stamp, when I stamped it, and it's probably because I didn't want to get right down on it and get right in the camera view, I'm going to go ahead and try to make it look a little straighter by the way I cut it. So just give me a moment to do that. And I hope that you're liking this content, and if you are, please go ahead and hit that like button. That always does help our it does help our channel. So let's see here. Okay, All right, so we have that cut. And one of the things that you could do at this point is you could definitely take this, or this, and you could, or there's even this little circle that you could put berries in here if you wanted to, you know, by using those. But I decided not to do that. I decided to do something different. What I wanted to do was put a little bit of ribbon on here, but this is kind of small, so it doesn't have a lot of room for the ribbon. So what I decided maybe that I should do is just go ahead and use a glue dot, and we're going to make a little like a, well, I don't know, like one of those ribbons you see for different campaigns. So let's just go ahead and get that glue dot. My glue dot thing is acting up here. Actually, it's me, not the glue dot. So let's see here. Here we go. Okay. And what the glue dot is going to do is it's going to help me to put these together. So I'm just going to take and put a glue dot right here on my ribbon. And then when I take my ribbon and make that little loop, it'll be secured. And then I can take another glue dot. So thank goodness for our glue dots, right? I actually use a ton of them in my studio. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the back of my ribbon. And I'm going to put it right here. This is going to leave me the opportunity to go ahead and put my little banner right there. And for that banner, I am going to use dimensionals. Now, I love dimensionals. They elevate whatever you're putting on your card. Plus, they're just so easy. And so I'm just going to take off all those little the release papers on the back. You could use your take a pick tool to remove them if you wanted to. Sometimes I do. And then I'm just going to go ahead and place my sentiment strip right there. And now I have already stamped and cut out these little flowers. Now I did use this stamp right here, and I used the Highland Heather, and then I used the Sweet Sorbet, which is another in color. And I'm going to go ahead and use those. Now, for two of them, I'm going to use, you guessed it, I'm going to use an ink dot. Glue dot, sorry. I'm going to use a glue dot. And you can put them in any, you know, you could design them in any direction you wanted to, or any order. But I put the two purple ones, or the Highland Heather, to the side, and then the Sweet Sorbet in the middle. So let's see, here's one. We're just going to put it a little more on the wreath. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other Highland Heather one as well, because why not? And that didn't get that full glue dot. So let's get it. And I'm going to put this one maybe right here. And then with the Sweet Sorbet flower, I'm going to take another glue dot, and I'm going to stick that right in the middle. And get that release paper. And that's going to go right there. Now, couple of things. You can leave it just as it is, but I'm going to put some what we call bling on it. But before that, I need to cut out this layer that I had put the white on. And what I like about that is it seems kind of like this. You could lay it like this for sure, but it seems a little bit lost, and I wanted to anchor this. So let's go ahead and cut some of our Highland Heather cardstock. And so just a minute while I do that. And we know that this particular part that we just did, this sentiment part, is it's actually 3 by 3.5. So I'm going to cut 3 3/4, and I'm using my paper trimmer, 3 3/4 by, let's see here, by 3 1/4, and that I'm pretty sure is going to give me plenty of, oh yes, this is going to be perfect. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cut that. And let's get rid of the trimmer. We're almost finished with this card. So stick with me, please. And, you know, I just did also want to let you know that sharing this video is like the ultimate compliment that you could give me. So if you feel inclined to share it, please do so. All right, let's go ahead and get this on here. What I like about the glue is that it gives you time to move or to maneuver or to manipulate whatever you're putting on there. And so let's go ahead and put this on the front of our card. And we're going to, as you can see, we're going to put it on kind of at a slant. So I like that. You could definitely pop it up with dimensionals. I will say this though, I've tried to scale back on putting a lot of dimension on my cards because you're going to find that the postage is going to be different when you have a lot of dimension. Now, again, I was talking about a little bit of bling, and so what I thought I would do is take the, it's called Fun Flower resin shapes, and I'm going to put them in the middle. I'm going to take these yellow ones, and they're kind of small. I don't need anything big. You could also, if you didn't have these, but you can get them at my store, you could also take that little dot that is here on the stamp set, this one right here, and you could stamp it in the middle. I just found that when I did that in my practice card, that it didn't show up very well. But these Fun Flower resin shapes are perfect. And they come in the in color, so know that that's already done for you. So that's what I did here. So you have your ribbon, you have your sentiment, and then on the inside you can also stamp another flower if you wanted to. So, so we did this card today, so thank you for that. And then of course you're going to want to decorate your envelope, so you could do that easily by taking another one of those flowers and just stamping it. Or you could take some of the greenery too, or both. All right, so card number 1 finished. Now let's work on card number 2. I really, really like this card. And I'm using the sentiment that it says, just saying hello. I like that it's big and it gets your attention. And it can be used with anything. Just saying hello. You're simply fabulous could be on the inside, or there's beauty and everything could be on the inside. Or you can take some of your other stamps with other sentiments and put them in the middle of your card as well. Now I started with a basic white cardstock. And this is, again, was the 8.5 side. So I had it on my trimmer with the 11.5 or 11-inch side at the top and the bottom, and I just cut this in half at 5.5. And then I am using this in landscaped orientation. So I want to tell you something that I did with, and I've done a lot of this again already for us, is this middle part right here. I did stamp it, just saying hello. I did stamp it with the Orchid Oasis, is what I use. Orchid Oasis ink. Now, when I first stamped it with the Orchid Oasis, I wanted something that was a little bit darker, that kind of stood out a little more for me. So what I did was I stamped it, and then I used my clear embossing powder, put some on my where I'd stamped it, and then I took my heat gun, and this has 2 speeds, just so you know, and I let it warm up, and then I just heat embossed it. Now we're not going to do that today, first of all because it's loud, and second of all, you can do that. You can definitely do that. But it gave it some darkness. It gave it a little bit of oomph, I guess. And so then that's what we're going to start with. I also did go ahead and cut the base layer, and this is out of the In Color Designer Series paper. This comes in 6x6. It's also double-sided. And this is the Orchid Oasis, and I would layer it on here, right? But before we layer it, I'm going to want to jazz up this front part of my card. And to do that, I'm going to, let me just get my blocks here. So I'm going to use this block, and I'm going to use this stamp right here. So I like this stamp because it looks kind of, it's light. And I'm going to take my Parakeet Party ink, and you can see in the example that these leaves go out from, or extend out from the sentiment, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's just go ahead and begin. So I'm going to go ahead and ink it up, and I'm going to I am going to get a piece of scrap paper, because I'm going to tell you why in just a second. Let's see, I don't want, that one's kind of a big one. Let me just, because I don't want this part, and I should have thought of that before I inked it up. I don't want this part of the stamp to be on top of my G. So I'm just going to kind of cover up the G, and then I'm going to go ahead and stamp. Now, what I'll do next time is I'll make sure that I don't stamp this bottom part. And I am going to stamp it off to make sure that I get all of that ink off. So when I go to stamp it, I'm getting ink from the base up is what I'm doing. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp this again, I think, because I don't trust myself. I think I'm going to go ahead and mask it here. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this same stamps the same stamp. And this time it's okay because you have a little more room here, so I don't feel like I need to mask it. But I'm going to go ahead and stamp. And again, I'm going to stamp. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to get another block. I think I already have it out. Actually, I'm going to get, where is it? Right here. I'm going to get this a little stamp, which is, actually it's this one. And I'm going to, again, I only want to get the base. And I'm going to just kind of put that, and I'm going to second generation stamp too. Second generation means that you know, you're not getting the full stamp, right? You're getting kind of a you're going to stamp it off, so you're getting less ink. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp. So you can fill out how much you want by doing this. And we're going to fill this up. And you do need to stamp it off each time before you stamp, because you want to have even stamping. So if you didn't stamp it off, if you put this in your ink and you stamp it and then you stamp it again and you stamp it again, you may get ink that is not even. And so I'm going to do the same thing with this stamp, in that I'm going to be stamping it off, because really what I'm doing is I'm just trying to fill up my area with greenery. And so it's very, very, very faint. And that's what I wanted. And we're just really filling it up with ink. And so you can do this to your heart's content, however you might want. I'm cleaning off my stamps now. So it's really up to you what you know, how much you want to stamp off and stamp. So the other thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to also get this little threesome stamp right here, and that's this one. And you can tell I've used it because what happens, it's clean. You can see it's clean. But what happens when you use your stamps is that if it's kind of a reddish stamp, that pigment is going to stay on your stamp. And basically, it just means that this stamp is well loved. So let's go ahead and use our sweet sorbet. And I'm going to show you what happens here. So I'm not going to stamp it off, but that first stamp that we used, which was this stamp right here, you can see it has three sections here. You can have this be a, let's see, here it is. It can be like flowers. And so you can go ahead and stamp those flowers. Let's see here. And so it just really does give it a very nice little detail. And so there we go. That's good with that. Now I did do mine differently on this one. I did the Orchid Oasis. You could definitely do the Sweet Sorbet if you wanted to. It's whichever you want to do. I am going to go ahead and layer this on the Orchid Oasis. I kind of like it a little bit better with the Orchid Oasis, I am going to say. But let's go ahead and glue this on or adhere this on our layer. And let me make sure it's centered, and it is. And then we will fold over our card base, which again is the 8.5, and then cut in half on the 11-inch side, which is 5.5. We scored it at 4 1/4, and we're going to go ahead and secure that fold. Now, all my cards, not all the time, but all the cards that we have in this video are the A2 size. They fit in medium envelopes. I do love a mini slimline. However, none of these are. But let me just say that I do love them. All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm just fixing some of this glue because I didn't have it all the way and I don't want my card lifting up. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this base to our card base, or this layer to our card base. And I wanted to know, what is your favorite in color out of the Parakeet Party, Orchid Oasis, Starry Night, Sweet Sorbet? Which of those are your favorite? All right, so here's another thing. You know what? I didn't do any bling on this. You definitely could. I think that this is my favorite. I did do a little bit of twine, and we are going to do that. Now, if I had done on this card, the Orchid Oasis, which I think originally that's what I meant to do, I would put the twine that has the Orchid Oasis. But since I used the Sweet Sorbet, which, you know, is fine. It wasn't originally what I intended, but you know what? There are no mistakes when you're crafting. Let's just go ahead and do a bow using the Sweet Sorbet. Whoop. My fingers have a little bit of glue on them, and of course, this twine is going to stick to them. Maybe we'll do a bow. Maybe we will not. Let's see here. I have to get closer. I'm sorry. I can't fiddle like this. So let's see here. Here we go. Okay, and we'll tie our bow. And tighten it up. And if you hold it in the middle, you can tighten the bow part, the loops. I don't want the loops too big. Of course, I want to be able to see them. And let's go ahead and trim our ends. Give them a little bit of a haircut. And then, of course, we're going to use our glue dot to well, I've got sticky fingers, so that doesn't sound good, sticky fingers. So okay, let's see here. Here we go. We'll get the glue dot off of here. I have to tell you that I don't know if I've seen others put these little ties on here, and it seems to work for them, but I'm not sure it's working for me. Okay, so I do like to kind of roll up the glue dots because I don't want it, when I put my bow on my card, I don't want when you touch the bow that you're touching that glue dot. So I roll it up, and then I'm going to put the glue dot right there, and then I'll just put it right here. And I think we need to trim again. All right, so let's talk about what we did today. And I want to thank you for being so patient with me and sharing in. I just really do love this stamp set. I think it is really worth the price. Definitely, it's a steal. So let's just look at what we created today. So we created this card. We also created this card, and then I did share with you this card. Now this is just a drop in the bucket with what you can do with this stamp set. So I really do challenge you to, if you already have the stamp set, to create some cards with it. And if you don't, this may be something that you want to get. And then, of course, a lot of us, the in colors have been around for a little bit, so they're not a brand new item. And I'm sure that, you know, you probably have those. But if you're like me, sometimes I get stuck on a certain color or theme, and I have to consciously make myself switch over. And then I always gravitate towards the purples too. So I do need to broaden my horizons and do some other colors too. So that is, this was great for doing that. Except for I did kind of still gravitate toward the purples, didn't I? All right. So you can find the stamp set in my online store at ritaspapermotif.com. And while you're shopping, don't forget that if you purchase $50 worth of product, that you get the free items from the celebration catalog. And then if you were to make your purchase of $100 or more, you also get the free item. Now, I wanted to just take this time quickly to share with you next Thursday. I'm coming back with another live, and I'm going to share with you a clear card. And so you may be thinking, uh-oh, she's really lost it now. No, I haven't. I've discovered these clear cards, and I just think that they're amazing. So please mark your calendar, come back next Thursday, and I'll show you some clear cards. I think that you're going to be a little bit encouraged or enticed to maybe use your creativity and make some of these clear cards as well. So come on back next Thursday, and we will have our class on the clear cards. So thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget, in case you weren't on when because I see some of you have joined just towards the end here. Don't forget to be aware that you can definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching via the replay on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell icon. You'll be notified of new content. And if you're here on Facebook Live with me, whether it's live or on the replay, then know that you can always come back and review the video too. But as always, your likes and your thumbs up and your hearts are always accepted. And I want you all to have a great day, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks now. Bye.